back to another episode of Inside the Mind, the official podcast of Missouri S&T Athletics. This episode sponsored by S&T Corporate Club member Price Chopper. I want to thank them for their support of Missouri S&T Athletics and membership in the Minor Corporate Club. Special episode coming up for you today. March is National Athletic Trainer Appreciation Month, and joining us on the show today will be three members of the S&T Sports Medicine staff. Look forward to those conversations, but before we get to them, a quick recap of the last week in minor athletics. Softball was in Kansas over the weekend in their final tune-up before Great Lakes Valley Conference play begins this week with games against Fort Hays State on Friday, originally scheduled for Sunday, and Washburn on Saturday. Miners played the Tigers close on Friday, but fell by scores of 3-0 and 3-2 before falling to the Ichabods twice by scores of 8-0 on Saturday. A couple of standout performances to note against Fort Hays State. Bryn Wooldridge struck out 9 batters against no walks in 6 innings. In Game 2, also had a few hits to her credit, while Charlie Rowland struck out 8 in 6 innings of work while allowing 1 walk against Fort Hays as well. Elizabeth Viox also had a 2-hit outing in Game 1 of that doubleheader on Friday. Baseball was on the road for the first time in the new season with a 4-game set at Drury. The Miners took Game 1 by a score of 9-3 before falling in the next 3 games, including a pair of 1-run games in the final 2 contests of that series, including an 11-inning affair that the Panthers ended up winning on a walk-off in Game number 3. Freshman Kyle Ottmer picked up the win in Game 1 of that series, his first career start. Second appearance of the week, he came out of the bullpen in that Tuesday game against Minnesota Crookston. Struck out 4 and allowed 1 run on 3 hits over 5 innings before turning the ball over to Chasen Anderson, who got the save working 4 innings of relief, one of his longest outings of his career. Really shut the door out of the bullpen in Game number 1 of that series. A couple of RBIs for Tommy Reether and Doug Wood in that game, as 4 other players also drove in a run for the Miners in that series opener. Looking ahead to the rest of this week, lots of action going on. It's championship season for the NCAA. A couple of Miners will be participating at the NCAA Swim and Dive Championships this weekend, while the Indoor Track and Field Championships are going on this weekend as well. Nathan Swadley, the lone representative for the track and field programs, will be competing in the shot put of that event. Be sure to keep up with all the action about those events on social media and at minorathletics.com for updates about each championship as those start. I believe Wednesday is when swimming starts, and the track and field championships are over the weekend. Coming up, softball scheduled to play 6 games starting Wednesday this week. They'll be heading up to Columbia to play Lincoln University in a game that was postponed a couple weeks back due to inclement weather, before heading to William Jewell Friday and hosting Truman State in the home opener this Sunday. Baseball heading to Maryville Wednesday for their first midweek contest of the year, single 9-inning game before they be playing Southwest Baptist in a split weekend series. Series opener was originally scheduled for Friday. That's been moved to Thursday before that series wraps up on Sunday here at the ballpark at S&T. Weather could be an issue later in the week. I know there's chances of snow along with freezing temperatures Thursday, Friday. If there's any changes to the schedule, we'll be sure to communicate those online on social media, minorathletics.com, and those team social media accounts as appropriate. It's kind of a short intro for this episode after having to get through everything we had to last week. But we'll step aside, take a short break, be back on the other side to start talking with our sports medicine staff here at Missouri S&T on this episode of Inside the Mind, again presented by Price Chopper. Back to this episode of Inside the Mind, presented by Missouri S&T Corporate Club member Price Chopper. Appreciate their support of minor athletics. Talking with the Missouri S&T Sports Medicine staff on today's show. Joining us first, he joined the Sports Medicine staff here at S&T in the fall of 2020. Prior to that, he was the head athletic trainer at McKendree University, served primarily the football program there. and also supervised the athletic training students in McKendree's accredited athletic training program. Over the years, he's also worked with numerous other sports, including basketball, baseball, soccer, and hockey. He traveled internationally with the USYS Olympic Development Program and was responsible for athletic training coverage for their regional summer camps. He graduated from Cedarville University in 1994 and earned a master's degree from McKendree in 2004. Please welcome Lance Ringhausen to the show. Lance, thanks for stopping by, taking time out of your busy day. I know, much like the life of an SID, the life of an athletic trainer is always one that somebody's always looking for you. There's always something to do. But thanks for stopping by. How you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me. Yes, it's a busy life schedule, but appreciate you having us on this episode.
Yeah, no, it's March is National Athletic Trainer Appreciation Month. Figured it'd be a great opportunity to have some of y'all stop by and kind of chat with y'all, since this the whole purpose of this show is to get to know the names that go behind the or the faces that go behind the names of the athletic program here at Missouri S&T, not just the coaches and the athletes, but also other staff as well, like our athletic training staff. So just kind of tell us kind of how's the year been for you so far? I know it's kind of been a return to normalcy, loosely speaking, compared to how things went last year. But how's the year going so far? Now that we're about kind of the midway point, or just a little bit past the midway point of this athletic year.
Well, so far I think it's gone really good. We obviously added a new staff member in Jennalee Edwards to our staff, which has helped dramatically. And I know at the end of last year we were short-staffed in dealing with all the sports playing all at once in the COVID year. So we were kind of all over the place. Still a little short-staffed at the beginning of this year. We were looking to hire one more additional person prior to the year starting, but job market and everything else was tough, so we were a little delayed on getting that done. Sam has taken on a huge role and had to step into some of those sports and really do double duty a lot, which helped us out, which probably exhausted her even more in her life. But hopefully we're going to get out of those roles and even be back to a more normal rotation come next fall.
Sure. Yeah, I know. Last year when I was at Jacksonville, we were just talking about this before we came on the air. Last year was a testament across the country to the sports medicine staff at every college institution, making sure that teams were able to compete, making sure everyone was following COVID protocols, and making sure that everyone was getting tested. And obviously, I cannot imagine the amount of times that the trainers had to get tested last year, since you're around everybody all the time. Just kind of walk us through how did last spring go? I know you said you were short-staffed, playing just about everything in the spring. I know basketball started a little bit early, but how crazy and chaotic and different was that with everyone going at the same time last year?
It was very crazy and chaotic. I know, we were testing everybody weekly in season, so we had a lot of testing going on. We were kind of following up on those, quarantining kids, isolating kids as they tested positive, modifying practices, doing different things like that. Sam and I kind of came from the background of being up in the contact tracing room, so we were kind of dealing with a lot of that as well. So it was chaotic to have everybody going at once. You kind of had to pick and choose your priorities and risks, and where's our highest risk, where do I need to place a body at, and then we'd kind of plug in from there and back off of everything else as we needed to. But it was definitely a big task. Luckily, we had some really good people in Sam and Nick here that jumped in and never complained, never questioned what we were doing, and did a fantastic job on all that.
So obviously you're still relatively new to Missouri S&T. You're at McKendree for a significant period of time. What was that change like? Going from a place you've been at for so long, everybody, you have those relationships, to going somewhere new and kind of starting fresh.
It was a great transition. I think the people here made it a great transition for me, which was helpful. Very accepting in me coming in and being a part of the staff. It was nice for that first couple months not to be the person in charge.
Sure.
It was kind of relaxing, and I was able to just kind of come in and do my job and not have to worry about the things that sometimes we worry about in the evenings and things like that, and weekends that you get phone calls on and all that kind of stuff. But it was a good transition. I was at McKendree for 23 years of my career in the head athletic trainer's role there. So, most everything there was policies and procedures and different things that I had put into place. And so they were kind of my own and ownership of them. And it was good to come in and see something different and see how things are ran differently. It's a totally different model here from a medical model standpoint that the athletic trainers work for student health. There's great support from student health whenever you need anything, as far as from the nurses or the physicians there at student health. So it's a little different setup. Obviously, we were having a physician at McKendree come in once a week to see student athletes here. In an ideal world, when our physician position is filled, they're here every day, and someone that you can lean on and help you out. But both are great. Both are different. Both were good experiences. So
yeah, I know former head trainer Colin Fridley, that was one thing he really wanted to do, was build S&T into one of the premier sports medicine programs, not just in the region but nationally. And I think the blueprint he laid is definitely kind of helped elevate the level of treatment and care that our student athletes can get. I want to take a step back real quick with just kind of your journey in your career and everything. When did you decide that you wanted to go become an athletic trainer and pursue a career in sports medicine?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure when I went off to college what I wanted to do. I went to Cedarville University and thought initially that I loved math and things like that in high school, and probably thought I was better at it than what I truly was. And I did some work during the summers and things like that doing construction, and I thought, you know what, I kind of wouldn't mind being an architect or something along that line, because I like the
Sure. Yeah.
You're building something and you're seeing it to completion, and now it's completed, and you can say, oh, that looks great, good job, kind of thing.
That sounds like me when I first showed up at Missouri S&T.
yeah. And then I thought, you know what, I don't want to deal with numbers the rest of my life. So I started exploring how do I kind of fit that into helping other people. And initially I thought, well, I'll go the physical therapy route. And I thought, I don't want to work with certain populations. I want to work with the athletic population. And so it really geared me towards athletic training. And I think you a lot of times see that from a start to completion from a rehab cycle, and you see in that reward of someone getting back out there and competing and doing those things, just kind of like what you would see in a lot of professions where you're building something and you're seeing it through completion. So that's kind of the route I took. And once I got into it, I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. And finished my degree there at Cedarville and got out and started working.
Where was your first stop after Cedarville? Did you do like I feel like internship's the wrong word, but like an apprenticeship or something, like somewhere. Just kind of walk us through kind of where you've been on your journey to S&T.
Yeah, so internship for me was probably the right word. When I graduated, there was a lot of old internship programs still in the athletic training world. They've transitioned to education programs where it's more geared towards certain coursework. Ours was geared towards more you do internship hours. You do the coursework, but a lot of your learning isn't in the internship hours.
It's kind of more like a fellowship.
Yes.
Kind of deal. Yeah.
And so
that's the word I was looking for.
Back then, in order to sit for your national certification exam, you had to complete 1,500 hours of internship programs. And so because I changed my major throughout my career at Cedarville, I was graduating but didn't have enough internship hours to sit for my exam. So I decided to go home. There was a local clinic that I had researched that had an athletic trainer there that could supervise me. So I came home, worked a part-time gig because this internship I wasn't going to get paid for. Went over there, completed my hours. Kind of got lucky in the fact that at that time, 25 years ago, that clinic was supplying athletic trainers to McKendree University to cover some home events. Mm-hmm. They didn't have football at the time. They didn't have track and field. They didn't have a lot of the sports they had. They were getting ready to add football. Mm-hmm. In that the athletic director actually contacted the clinic and said, "Hey, we need somebody." And they said, "I've got somebody for you." Mm-hmm. Went over there, put in my application after I passed my certification exam, and got hired. So I kind of stepped into that, just kind of blindly. Mm-hmm. Right place, right time.
So it was basically like Cedarville internship and then McKendree for 20 plus years.
Yes, wow. Yes, which was quite scary at times, because when I walked into McKendree University, they had nothing. They didn't because they didn't have an athletic trainer. So you have to start looking at developing. Okay, what's our physical process got to look like? What's our paperwork for that's got to look like? So I had some good physicians that I worked with that we worked nights and weekends on that kind of stuff and put all that stuff in place. And so, and then you're a young kid fresh out of college and they're telling you, oh, by the way, you got to take care of college football. And, that's kind of like, okay, do I really know what I'm doing?
Yeah. How rewarding was that at the end of the day to be able to essentially build a sports medicine athletic training program at McKendree from scratch and kind of see that come to where it is now, and then be able to leave it in capable hands and just kind of look back and reflect upon that in your career?
Yeah, it was great. It was fun building it from nothing. I'm sure there was a lot of mistakes made in the long run, and then repeating things and doing things over again to make it right. Sometimes over the years you think, man, I'm doing this way, but is it the right way? Mm-hmm. It works for us. It may not work for anybody else. I think the rewarding part is then looking to see what other people are doing and be like, oh, I kind of did that right. You know, kind of did that process right. So
sure.
That was kind of some of the rewarding part of that. But
that's awesome to hear. Did you play any sports in college coming up, or?
No, I didn't play sports in college. I played soccer and basketball in high school.
Okay.
And then in college, I didn't play a sport. Played a lot of intramural softball, intramural basketball.
Intramural champion Lance Ringhausen?
I believe in softball. Now, this is almost 30 years ago. I believe that we were an intramural softball champ. If my memory serves me right. Basketball, on the other hand, I don't think we were champs.
Okay. It's always fun. And I know you kind of maybe answered this a little bit earlier when you said you were kind of looking at maybe going into architecture and design and stuff. But if you weren't an athletic trainer, what would you be doing right now?
My wife asked me that the other day. What do you think you would do if you were an athletic trainer? If I knew what I know now, looking back on it, I think what would interest me is actually going into law.
Really?
Yes, that's
a big swing.
It is a huge swing. I have a good friend from high school that ended up going that route, and I think there's a lot of different aspects of law that interest me, and I think just arguing things interests me.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Those things have always intrigued me. Mm-hmm. So that would be one thing that I think that would, I would explore.
Sure. One thing I know I meant to ask. You mentioned your wife. It's A.D. Melissa Ringhausen. We had her on the show, I believe, episode 2, and I forgot to ask her this question. But so I'll go ahead and pitch it to you. What's it like being how do you separate that work-life balance with somebody who also works in the same general industry in college athletics, higher education? Is you kind of just how do you separate work from that home life?
I think over the years we've worked together for 24 years. I think I was a year into my McKendree job when she came on to McKendree as the head women's basketball coach. So I worked with her from an athletic trainer to coach position, and then we eventually got married down the road, and she transitioned over to administration. I think over the years we've I guess we know what to share with each other, and we don't get upset that, oh, you didn't tell me that, or I didn't tell you that. We understand those boundaries from work to home.
Sure.
And there's some things that I know sometimes that I know I probably shouldn't know, and that doesn't get spilled out there into the public, and those type of things. So it's always been a good work relationship. We go home. We don't necessarily always talk about those things, and it's been good. It's been good over the years.
Awesome. Yeah, no, like I said, I meant to ask Melissa that when we had her on in the fall, but we had so much other stuff to get through with that, it kind of slipped my mind. So I guess it's bad show hosting on my part. But Lance, thanks for stopping by, taking time out of your day. I said I know you guys are always busy. Appreciate everything you do for the department, for the university, and definitely for our student athletes. I know they appreciate it. I know the coaches appreciate it, and hopefully everything continues to run smoothly the rest of the year, and we keep doing the good work.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate the time.
That's head athletic trainer Lance Ringhausen stopping by this episode of Inside the Mind. We're going to stop here, take a short break, be back on the other side with another member of the S&T Athletic Training Department here on this episode of Inside the Mind, brought to you by Price Chopper. Back to this episode of Inside the Mind. We're talking with the Missouri S&T athletic training staff today on this episode, again presented by corporate club member Price Chopper. Want to thank them for their support of Missouri S&T athletics. Joining us next, she joined the S&T sports medicine staff in July of 2021 and works primarily with volleyball and baseball. Originally from Springfield, Missouri, she attended Central Methodist University in Fayette, Missouri, where she earned a Bachelor of Science degree in athletic training in 2015 and is worked towards a master's degree in human performance from Lindenwood over the course of 2015 to 2017, while working as a graduate assistant athletic trainer at Lindenwood Belleville. Most recently, she spent the fall 2017 to 2021 seasons as an athletic trainer and exercise science instructor at Missouri Valley College in Marshall, Missouri. She's also spent time as a high school athletic trainer in the St. Louis area through Athletico Physical Therapy, and has also had the opportunity to provide coverage at the 2016 Men's USA Gymnastics Olympic Trials. Please welcome Jennalee Edwards to the program. Jennalee, thanks again for stopping by. Again, I know we just had Lance on. I know you guys are always busy, but thanks for taking time out of your day to stop by. Glad to have you on the program.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Murph.
We'll just kind of follow, kind of the same format. We just kind of ran through with Lance on the previous segment, but we just kind of ran through your CV and your resume there in the intro. You're still relatively new to the staff here at Missouri S&T. Just kind of start off. What's your time been like here at Missouri S&T? How's Rolla been treating you, and what do you enjoy most about working with the student athletes here at Missouri S&T?
Yeah, so moving to Rolla, we've really enjoyed it, my husband and I.
Mm-hmm.
Not that where we used to live was horrible by any means. We're just so busy that we don't really need a whole lot, but it's been a nice little upgrade. There's more than one bar in town, so we can go to a few more. There's a few more Mexican restaurants in this town than the last one, so we've got a lot of options, and our dogs are happy here, so we can't ask for much more as far as that's concerned. But I've really enjoyed becoming a part of the staff here at S&T. It's been a learning experience in a good way. A lot of different things than the places I worked at in the past, but in a good way. And I've felt welcomed by everybody here, from the athletic staff to the student health staff, and the student athletes. It's been really fun, and I've really enjoyed getting to know our special population of student athletes.
Definitely a one-of-a-kind group here at Missouri S&T on the field and in the classroom. Just kind of talk us through when did you decide that athletic training was an area that you wanted to pursue? Was that something you knew you wanted to pursue? When you first got to college, just kind of how did that this whole career path come about for you?
Yeah, so my story's a little bit similar to Lance. My first semester of college, I was undecided. And my best friend and roommate, she was an athletic training major. And I just saw the stuff that she was doing, and several of my teammates were athletic training majors, and I was like, hey, that looks pretty cool to me. And it kind of, my freshman year of college, I had some teammates that called me Mother Goose, because I'd be the one taking care of everybody. So I get to take care of people, and I get to be around sports. I get paid to watch baseball, so that's pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, no, I always tell people, like, people ask me, so what do you do for? I get paid to watch sports. I'm like, really? I said, well, there's a lot more that goes into it than that. But at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. And I feel like we can all say the same thing. What is one of the, like, obviously, putting in the long hours, working with student athletes who end up with injuries and everything else, and helping them return to competition and everything. How rewarding is that to be able to see somebody come back from something and be able to continue, playing it at a high level?
That's the best feeling in our profession, I think. For instance, you've got somebody that you've seen them at their lowest of low, and then all the ups and downs in between the initial injury and maybe a surgery, and then their ultimate return, or might be their ultimate, termination of their career, unfortunately. But to see somebody like have that resolution, coming back, and they score their first run after a big injury, or one of my volleyball girls has a kill and it's like their first play back, and just seeing that smile on their face is really awesome, and knowing that I had a part in that makes me feel good. And I've always enjoyed being a part of a team, growing up playing sports, watching sports, so I still get that feeling, and I feel like I got to contribute to the success of not only an individual but of the team.
You mentioned playing sports growing up. I know we were up in the balcony a few weeks back with baseball before they got going. One of the guys said you were a college athlete back in the day. Little softball action, right?
Yeah, I was on the team. No, softball was my first love. I idolized Ozzie Smith growing up. He was my guy.
It's not a bad person to idolize.
No, and I wore number 6 for Stan Musial, and I loved softball, and maybe if I was about 5 inches taller and 25 pounds heavier, I could have played D1, but instead I played a little NAI softball at Central Methodist, a very good, historically very good program in NAI softball, and I played 1 year and just kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I knew that softball wasn't going to last forever, but my career was, and so I got to kind of take off with athletic training from there. But I find that having experience as an athlete and a college athlete helps me kind of identify with my student athletes
kind of be a little bit more relatable.
Yeah, like I've puked at morning conditioning before, so I've been there. I had a crazy strength and conditioning coach when I was in college, and somehow I ended up marrying one, but here we are, so I can relate to one of those hard days that they've had in the weight room too, the wins, the losses, all that. So yes, I did get in the cage with the boys a couple weeks ago, and I looked like an idiot with a baseball bat, but somehow they had a softball bat up there, and then I took a few swings, and I made sure I ended on a good one. So
there you go. Yeah, and I remember we got a couple of the old softball bats from the softball program. I think it's I don't know if they use them anymore, but I know we used to use those in the cages back when I was with the program as a manager. Just some like T-work stuff, bat plane control and everything. Talk us through. You had the opportunity to go to the gymnastics Olympic trials. What was that experience like?
That was super awesome. I can't even remember the exact details on how I ended up in it. There's like a St. Louis Athletic Trainers Association, and it's more or less just a bunch of athletic trainers in the area that kind of keep in contact with each other. And it was when I was in grad school at Lindenwood and in the summertime, so I didn't have as much going on. And they're like, hey, the Olympic trials are coming to St. Louis this summer. They need some volunteers. And I was like, sign me up. This is awesome. And I got to be within inches of Simone Biles and just like the greatest athletes in the world at their sport. And it was crazy. Those young ladies are like robots. Like, they're just so regimented and so impressive. Now it wasn't the ladies trial at that particular date, but they still competed. They still put on their all their events. It was actually the trials for the men, but they were something else too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just it was so impressive to be, in arm's reach of the greatest athletes in the world.
The power, the strength, I know that's always something whenever you watch the Olympics. Everybody's just, whenever it's time for gymnastics, everybody just kind of pivots and just gets locked in on that, just because it's so interesting to watch. Just because you bend your knee too much on your landing and you get and that could mean the difference between gold or fourth,
right,
or something.
Right.
So
yeah, and gymnastics is so different than anything I've ever had the chance to work with. I've primarily worked with team sports, so just having that week that they were there, I think it was 4 days maybe that I got to work. It was really awesome just to be a part of that, just for a short while.
Sure. Mentioned earlier, you're married to the head strength coach here, Coach David Edwards. I pitched this question to Lance, talking about Melissa being the athletic director and kind of two people working in the same industry, so to speak, living under the same roof. How does that balance work for you guys? And just how do you separate work from home and have that balance of being able to just kind of unplug after a long day or a long stretch of days?
Yeah, so there's pros and cons for sure. I mean, cons being, for instance, he's up early every morning here, and then I'm usually here later, so we only get a few hours together every day. But at the same time, we both have a good understanding of what each of our jobs entail. So it's not like I'm sitting around like, when's he getting home, or vice versa, like that. And then I think that we feed off of each other pretty well. I know that I have learned a lot from him, as far as like the training aspect, and how to kind of like bridge the gap between injury prevention and care into training. And then I'd like to think, or I hope, that he would kind of say the same thing about me, that we kind of work well as far as learning from each other in that aspect. But it's kind of nice knowing that I can just pop my head in the weight room and say hi to my husband whenever I want. But
Sure.
We pretty much leave work at work, and there'll be things that we talk about, like, did you see what happened at the football game this weekend or whatever?
Yeah.
He's on the sideline for all that. So that's fun to be able to talk about, and we have something to relate to each other as far as our work lives are concerned. But for the most part, we leave work at work, and when we're at home, we're just hanging out with our dogs.
What's your favorite thing about being an athletic trainer? I mean, if there is one specific thing, could be a couple things if you can't narrow it down.
The first thing that comes to mind, I mentioned earlier that I've always enjoyed being a part of the team. So I really enjoyed that aspect, like being behind the bench at the volleyball game, and we've got a big kill, and just like that excitement, like. I feel that too, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm still a part of the team in a way, and that might sound a little dorky, but whatever. Last weekend, Aaron Burkhoff hit 3 home runs in one game. That was so freaking awesome. I got so hyped in the dugout with the boys, and just being a part of that is really awesome. But then as far as like, aside from the camaraderie and like the medical side of it, I enjoy teaching the kids about their bodies. They can teach me about a lot of other stuff, but when it comes to their bodies, I usually got them beat. So I enjoy educating them on that and helping them learn to take care of themselves, and kind of the stuff we talked about earlier, seeing them from their lows and helping them navigate back to a high is one of my favorite parts.
Absolutely. Well, Jennalee, appreciate you taking time out of your day. I said, I know, much like the life of an SID, the life of an athletic trainer is always a busy one. The hours are long, and it feels like there's always somebody trying to get a hold of you for one thing or another. But appreciate the time. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate all you do for the university, for the department, for the student athletes. And look forward to catching up and seeing you as we keep working through the spring season.
Yeah, thanks, Murph.
Yep. That's Jennalee Edwards, assistant athletic trainer here at Missouri S&T. We're going to step aside, take another short break, and be back on the other side of this episode of Inside the Mind, presented by Price Chopper, with another member of the Missouri S&T athletic training staff. episode of Inside the Mind. We're talking with the Missouri S&T athletic training staff on this episode, again presented by S&T Corporate Club member Price Chopper. Want to thank them again for their support of minor athletics. Our next guest on the show, she attended Bradley University and got a bachelor's degree in health sciences before moving to Utah to get her master's degree in athletic training from, was it Weber State? Mm-hmm. Weber State University. I want to make sure I got that one right. That's what I had. That's a thought in my head. I just want to make sure. She had the pleasure of working with the Utah Royals FC over the summer of 2018 and worked with the Arizona Diamondbacks in the summer of 2017. She also played club soccer at Bradley University and in her free time enjoys traveling, hiking, kayaking, and biking. Please welcome Samantha Kaestner to the show. Sam, thanks for stopping by. I know, again, it's the life of an AT is a busy one, so appreciate you taking time to join the show and chat with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll kind of jump right into it. How's the year been for you? Obviously going through some significant life events right now, so congratulations in advance on that. Just kind of how have things been going for you this year? I said kind of a little return to semi-normalcy this year after the adventure that was last year. Just kind of talk us through how's the year been for you?
It's been good. It was a little hectic in the fall. But I mean, it was hectic for, I think, all of us, just trying to tackle, everything that we needed to, getting back into, that normalcy after COVID, but still having, a few things that we needed to add to the normal routine, that we're used to. But, having basketball season in the winter and transitioning into that was really good. And, now having spring, a little bit lighter, it's kind of nice, at least for me, just because it's time for me to, I can catch up on some administrative stuff, and I can sit and really kind of dive back into like learning and continuing education units, stuff like that. So I'd say this year's gone pretty well and is continuing to go pretty well.
Yeah, no, I know last spring was kind of a zoo for all of us, with everybody playing at once, basically starting kind of in November with basketball and then everybody else jumping on board in February. I know where I was at last year, it was we were shorthanded on doing kind of what we do, and our sports medicine staff did a fantastic job, and I know you guys were a little bit short and shorthanded last spring, but managed to get through it all and looks like one piece. Kind of talk us through. I know I've kind of already asked this question to Lance and to Jennalee, but kind of how did you get into athletic training, sports medicine? Was that something you knew you wanted to do? Was that something that you got to school and figured out, oh, hey, this is something I'm interested in, I want to do? Just kind of, how did you get into doing this?
So something's very similar. I went in to college knowing I wanted to be a physical therapist.
Okay.
That's what I had my mind set on. And so I kind of worked towards that, but there were aspects about physical therapy that it didn't really fit what I wanted to do long term. And so I have to give props to an old classmate of mine. I didn't know athletic training existed. Honestly, like I maybe saw an athletic trainer at high school once. So I just didn't know what this profession was. At
that level, you don't really see a lot of high schools with like full-time trainers.
Yeah, and so it was, he explained, he was like, I'm taking a different route, but it's basically the same thing. You just work with, the athletic population instead. But you get to do a lot of the same things, and you get to do even more. And it's a job where you get to constantly be moving around. You're not in one setting, which I really like as well. But he was kind of the one that got me into athletic training, and ended up going to Weber State and loving the program out there and loving all the experiences I got to do with them, and landed here and just been here ever since.
You've been able to work with some really awesome opportunities in your career so far, Utah Royals and the Diamondbacks. First off, what was your time out in Utah like? Second, what was your experience like working with those organizations?
Utah was awesome just based on what I like to do. Like, it's definitely an outdoorsy state.
Oh, sure.
So, hiking trails are within walking distance of any apartment, any house that you live in. There's just so much to do out there. And my classmates, like, we were such a close-knit group that, you know, we did a lot together. And so that was a lot of fun to have friends around constantly. Working with the Diamondbacks was interesting. For the short period of time, like, they have so many different, I don't even know how to explain it, but just different, I guess, materials that they can use to help. And they introduced me to a theory, Postural Restoration Institute, which I've been trying to get into as well. But it was fascinating, you know, how many different staff members they've got, and the collaboration between all those different staff members and the different, I guess, aspects that they brought to the table. It was a group effort down there for them, and so it was a very cool and unique experience to work with them. And then as far as the Utah Royals, that was just awesome because I played soccer, and so getting to, like, sit next to Kristen Press and Kelly O'Hara and talk to them was just, I had to, like, tone back my fangirl for a sec. But, you know, it was really cool because it's like they're just people. You know, yeah, they're on the big stage and they're doing great things for the clubs that they play for and stuff like that. But they're just like everyday people, and so that was probably the coolest thing. Is you know, they really treated me like I was just another athletic trainer there to help and support them. And I learned a lot from their athletic trainer. She was awesome and gave us opportunities. Like, I had the pleasure of covering a practice without her once I got certified over the summer, so that was really cool. And the girls were just, they were awesome. It was just awesome experience.
I can only imagine what that's like, just sitting on the bench next to people who are going out and competing for Olympic gold medals and World Cups,
Yes.
you know, every couple of years. I would probably have to dial it back a notch too, if I was in that situation. Kind of just walk us through, just kind of anywhere else you've been in your career. How did you come across, you know, Missouri S&T? What was it about here that stood out to you, and really was, you know, presented the opportunity to become a member of the athletic training staff here?
So after I graduated, I saw that there was a position open for an intern, and I'm from St. Louis. My brother went here, so I'm familiar with the school, and so just applied to get kind of closer to home. As much as I loved Utah, you know, my whole family's back here, and so it was just kind of nice to be a little bit closer to them. And just the staff has been phenomenal for the past 4 years that I've worked here, and they've been so supportive. And I've learned so much from everyone that's, you know, come in and out of these doors the past 4 years, that it's a good fit. The athletes are awesome as well to work with. You know, they definitely don't, it's never a dull moment, you know, in the athletic training room. So it's been a great opportunity, and just stuck around.
I know since you're the most senior as far as like time at S&T of the guests we've had on, so I guess I'll go ahead and pitch this question to you. What is it about Missouri S&T that makes it such a special place to work at, for the student athletes to be a student athlete at, in your opinion?
It's kind of a combination of things. I mean, starting with the athletes, they're respectful. They understand, you know, what our jobs are as athletic trainers, and that we're here to be a support system for them, and to help them out and be able to play on the field or the court, you know, for what they want to do. And on top of that, I mean, the staff has just been phenomenal on both the student health side as well as the athletic side. It's a collaboration. Up at Weber State, you know, all the athletic trainers were in completely separate offices. And so that's what I thought it was. And then coming here and seeing how, you know, essentially, you know, kind of three different aspects are forming together to have one goal of making sure that our athletes are taken care of. It's awesome. And I don't think a lot of universities, a lot of schools have that. So just the collaboration between everyone, I think that's what makes Missouri S&T so special.
For sure. I know we were talking just before we came back from break. Some exciting things happening over in Kaz. You got your own desk now.
I do.
Over there. So just is it's how much of a is that? I think it's that if I'm remembering right, it's been a while since I've been over there because I've been back over there since I've been back here. But I know I went over there a few times when I was with the baseball program here. So that office kind of like. You walk in the front, hang a right, go through the doors, and it was like that office right in front with like two desks in there. Right now, is that kind of like the trainer's office right off the training room right there?
Yep. So the very first time that I got here, we had, I'm going to call Nick out on this, but Nick and I had to share a desk with two other interns, and he legit put tape on the middle of the desk because he was like, this is your side, this is my side, and we're going to, this is our spaces. So yeah, we have upgraded. We each have our own desks, so it's a good time over there.
It's moving up in the world. That's exciting to hear. How I know you say you got one of those new standing desks too. How's that working out for you?
Great. Just because being pregnant is not fun to the third trimester. I'm not gonna lie. So being so close to due date, it's a constant movement, sitting for long periods of time. It's been a little rough, but the standing desk has been a lifesaver so far.
Yeah, I know. It's we cut back to this camera and we're looking at me right here. I have one of these right here, but I don't think I have used it except in this configuration because I cannot imagine standing up and trying to do a cutout in Photoshop with it elevated. I feel like that'd be a little bit weird. If you were not in the athletic training profession, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
I haven't really thought about that. But I like to learn, and so I would probably somehow be entangled in research. I really enjoyed writing my thesis for the master's program up at Weber State, so I think doing some sort of research role, whatever that may be, would probably be my occupation if I wasn't here.
Sure. Awesome. Well, Sam, thanks again for stopping by the show. I know the life of a trainer is always a busy one with everything you always got going on, getting treatments in, rehabs in, people just coming in for pre-practice work and everything. So appreciate you taking time out of your day. Congratulations on your upcoming due date. Hope everything continues to go well for you, your husband, and your upcoming newborn. Thanks for stopping by, and appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
That's Assistant Athletic Trainer Samantha Kaestner stopping by this episode of Inside the Mind, and that'll do it for this episode of Inside the Mind, presented again by Price Chopper. I want to thank you all again for taking time out of your day to listen to us. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show wherever you may be listening or maybe watching. We just recently passed 800 total plays of the show, so thank you all for taking time to spend a little bit of your time each day with us every time we release a new episode. We've had some great conversations on this show, and we hope to continue to do that as we keep moving along with this. Again, it's be a friend, tell a friend about the show if you haven't already. Appreciate the support. Thank you all for listening, taking time out of your day, and as always, cheers and go Miners.